Reed?
Yes, my name is Reed King, a 17-year veteran homeschooler, 6 children, and a representative of Texans for Homeschool Freedom. I'm here to testify against Senate Bill 640, also known as the Tebow bill. Mr. Chairman, no man thinks more highly than I do of the sincerity as well as the abilities of the very worthy gentlemen who have previously addressed this committee. But different men often see the same subject in different lights, and therefore I hope it will not be thought disrespectful to those gentlemen. If entertaining as I do opinions of a character very opposite to theirs, I shall speak forth my sentiments freely and without reserve. Senate Bill 640 imposes precedent-setting new regulations on homeschoolers in the state of Texas. It sets forth homeschoolers as a special group here in Texas instead of applying to all non-public school students equally. And ultimately, homeschoolers by and large do not want this with all the stipulations it entails. Senate Bill 640 states that homeschoolers have to pass a standardized test to be able to participate in UIL activities. Not only is this a strong precedent, it is also discriminatory as public school students do not have to pass that same standardized test to participate in UIL activities. Homeschoolers already freely participate with many private and public schools in Texas. Homeschoolers under SB 640 must meet public school registration requirements. Homeschoolers' grades must also be reflected using the public school system's calendar. A student loses his eligibility to participate in UIL activities for the rest of the school year if they start out the school year in a public school and then withdraw to be homeschooled. A general diffusion of knowledge being essential to the preservation of the liberties and rights of the people, it shall be the duty of the legislature of the state to establish and make suitable provision for the support and maintenance of an efficient system of public free schools. That's what the Constitution says your responsibilities and duties are. This body has been granted the authority and the responsibility of maintaining the public school system. As a former public school teacher, I commend you on that job. As a current parent of 6 non-public school students, I respectfully request that you keep the wall of separation between public and private schools intact and focus on supporting and maintaining the system you have responsibility over. In summary, remove the mandatory testing requirement and open this up to equally allow all non-public school students to participate under current UIL rules, and I would support this bill. However, as written, Texans for Homeschool Freedom stands in strong opposition to Senate Bill 640. Thank you.
Mr. King, you say all non-public schools, so you're talking about private schools?
Correct.
Homeschools?
Well, homeschools are private schools in Texas. The Constitution sets forth.
So you're trying to say that those who go to parochial private school
non-public
would also be in UIL?
If it's not public, it's private.
As far as the standardized test, I mean, you're familiar with no pass, no play.
Absolutely.
And so you have to have some kind of way, without imposing rules on homeschoolers, but you have to have some way to make sure that we're not having students go around the no pass, no
Correct.
play. You know, because you could have a student who's a great athlete, not doing very well in school, and say, I'm going to be a homeschooler so I can still get to play.
Absolutely.
And so we're trying to prevent those types of things. But as far as being a homeschooler that would be jeopardized by this, you know, if the fact that you'd have to do a norm reference test at some point in the year to participate, just to make sure that the students are not being abused in the way that they would not be getting education, just so they could play sports, for example. No one would make your kids participate in this, right? I mean, no one's going to say, oh, now your kid has to be in UIL and get on the football team.
First they came for those that choose to operate, right?
Well, I don't think anybody's coming for anybody on this. We have a number of people. In fact, you're going to have somebody right behind you testifying with a large group of homeschoolers that wants this. I mean, you've heard the testimonies. And I agree we can all agree to disagree. I'm just trying to help.
As far as the concern, because I get the concern of, well, you know, they're out of the public eye of these kids. How do we know there's academic rigor there? I'm a former high school teacher. My mom's retired school teacher. My sister currently still teaches. My family is full of so many school teachers. I lost count in the mid-20s when I was trying to figure out how many there were. And I was actually physically made, so I can't count.
I was going to say, no, that's not a problem, is it?
Right. UIL rules currently state that the no pass, no play requirements are up to the educational facility to determine did that student pass or fail. And I get in this case, we're saying, okay, it's mom and dad, that's different.
But they are leaving it up to the mom and dad as far as how they're doing at that point in time. It says, are they passing their schoolwork and that type of thing.
Except it does also talk about the grades being needing to be reported to the school on the school's calendar.
as far as semester type grade.
Correct.
Okay.
So there is, something there. Public school students do not have a standardized test that is required for UIL participation.
But they take tests all during the school year that.
Sure they do.
People-
And the educational facility says they're passing.
Okay.
So this is where there'd be a difference. But UIL rules say that. UIL rules also have a mechanism where if there's a student that, we don't really think they're passing, and I'll say as a high school teacher, I was approached by certain coaches that wanted their student to have a grade that maybe they hadn't quite earned 20 years ago. So this happens there as well. There are problems there as well. It's so you have a mechanism for challenges. I don't think that guy's really passing. It goes to an arbitration style system, and in that case, okay, this guy, he just dropped out, he says he's homeschooling, let's have him be tested. But it's not a blanket test on an entire category, subcategory of the people that are participating. It's equal rules applied to all people that participate in UIL.
Senator Taylor, you had a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, about a decade ago, legislature saw fit to require community colleges to let homeschool children dual enroll, right?
Right.
You familiar with that?
Right.
And is that a bad, I mean, would you, if you were in our position, would you try to be repealing that? Try to say, hey, get rid of that, you shouldn't have
No.
that?
And testing's not a problem for me either. My 17-year-old is signing up for the SAT, he's already taken the PSAT, I mean, he's doing great at these.
That's why they don't want your money.
But it's a matter of choice. It's a difference between, are we going to treat this group
Give me the lip.
differently than another group?
What we do, right? We treat homeschoolers differently if they want to cross enroll, right? So they want to take dual credit at community college, they are treated differently.
How differently are they treated? In what way are they
They have
differently
to take
treated?
a norm reference test, right? So we're talking the exact same standard we're talking about here. That's worked, it's worked for 10 years. It sounds like you're supportive of that. And I just don't, I mean, if we're gonna use that standard for that application,
That's where they're going out of lower ed and going into higher ed though, correct?
no, yeah, you may not be familiar with this. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, appreciate it.
Senator Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would you agree that this is an opt-in
Absolutely, it's not.
bill? Then one question is, why would you oppose a citizen just the opportunity to opt in when it does not affect you or your children?
Because it does affect me and my children. It will and it can.
Okay. I beg to differ. Do you, as you're a homeschool parent, do you require PE for your children as part of their academics?
We do, yes.
What is the PE requirement you have? That's measurable, of course.
Okay, so my 13-year-old son is training in medieval long swords. My 15-year-old son is taking a parkour class.
The what?
Parkour, free running, the crazy people that run and jump off the buildings and from building to building and that sort of
Okay,
thing.
well, I work in the ER, so that's okay.
I understand. I have 3 teenage boys in my house as of this last Saturday.
Let's choose something else safe.
Senator, can you handle long swords too as well?
So far, it's kind of stepped out of bounds from what I was thinking, how we were going with the
Right.
PE thing.
But see, that's the thing, is every family
But
does something differently.
Well, let me.
It's their choice.
You said that. Choice.
Yes.
Well, everybody can't go out there and jump off the buildings or play with the swords.
can't.
And I'm thankful for that. But my point is, your children have a choice for the physical ed activity that you provide for them. There are many children that are homeschooled that have talents for running, jumping, passing, and to try to come against them having a choice is very difficult for me to understand. If you're trying to go with tax dollars, they pay tax dollars. So if you're trying to take away the fact that they shouldn't have this because tax dollars should be going to the schools, they don't get dollars right now for the homeschool. You don't get tax dollars for that.
Right. I don't
And
want tax
I
dollars for
believe-
that.
And we're not doing that. But what I see that this bill is doing is trying to have a type of academic accountability so that parents who want to choose the sports that they want to involve their children for competition, we're giving them the choice. And what I see is you're trying to make a good argument to take away their choice, and we're going to have to agree to disagree because I
And as I
can't
said,
buy that.
I'm with minor modifications to this bill, I even said I would support this. One quote that comes to my mind from 2013, this committee.
Let me go ahead and just interrupt because I think we're going to agree to disagree. I think it's a good bill. You know, there may be some tweaking to try to help make it a little better. But, so I appreciate your comments, but we're going to have to agree to disagree because what we are trying to do is present some type of academic accountability, a
Right.
balance there, and it is a total opt-in. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Does this follow with
That's
your
okay.
comments about we are
That's okay.
actually trying to increase the rigor
Okay.
for homeschools from 2013 that you said?
What I don't need further comment.
No.
Okay.
I'm just saying that
If I
I
could,
said.
for those who are watching this and those in the audience, there's just a couple things I think I need to read out of the bill. First of all, it does have a norm reference test, a nationally, like Iowa Test of Basic Skills, Stanford Achievement Test, within the first 6 weeks of the school year to qualify, to show that you're on par and that you're doing well, which the homeschoolers I know will have no problem with that.
I have a problem with that.
Well, like I say, you don't have to
And now you know
participate,
me.
so that's great for your family, but you're denying all the other families the ability to, because you don't want to do that, and that's
no,
fine,
I'm
I
not
understand.
denying anyone.
Okay, let me carry on. After the first 6 weeks of the school year, the parent or person staying in parental relation to a homeschool student participating in league activity, they're going to have to just basically say they're doing well in their classes. There's no more reporting than that. They just have to say they're doing fine. They send a verification to the school indicating that the student is receiving a passing grade. And then we go to the next page on page 3, starting line 10. With respect to a homeschool student's education program, nothing in this section shall be construed to permit an agency of the state, a public school district, or any other governmental body to exercise control, regulatory authority, or supervision over a homeschool student or a parent or person standing in parental relation to a homeschool student beyond the control, regulatory authority, or supervision required to participate in league activity, which is to make sure they're on par with their. So I said this earlier, and I'll say it one more time. Whether or not this bill passes, what you fear could happen at any time in the future.
Absolutely.
They could come in and just outlaw homeschooling by the next session. The chances of that happening are slim to none.
Right.
But the fact that we have a number of homeschool students who would like to be able to participate, and I understand you don't want to do all that stuff, great. This is as Senator Campbell said, it's a great opportunity for everyone to choose everything. It doesn't affect anybody else's choice. The fact that her children choose to participate and yours don't, everybody's fine. Y'all can still be friends. You can still get together and have barbecue, but you're not messing with anybody else's world. And I can tell you, this legislature and this committee has no intention of getting into homeschooling and telling them how to do it. I mean, there's something else, talk about curriculum assessment. We're not getting into that. There are so many things in this bill that are trying to put up concrete barriers that we are not trying to get involved with homeschoolers, other than proving to some level that's amenable that they are performing in their academic studies, because we can't have people getting around no pass, no play by saying, oh, I'm
UIL already
homeschooling.
has the stipulations to deal with that, though,
Who
without
does?
putting that in place. UIL. Their rules already have a stipulation
For public school students.
for all students that participate.
UIL does not have anything to do with homeschoolers, I'm sorry.
For any student that participates in
That's the
UIL, they
problem.
have stipulations in place to deal with no pass, no play, and for challenges to that.
Okay. All right, next up, and thank you for being, I'm sorry we disagree,
No, I
but
understand. I understand.
we do have a number of people. Tim
That's why I
Lambert,
started the way I meant.
if you would introduce yourself.